All right, so we're diving into something that's pretty hard to ignore here in the Bay Area lately, this crazy October heat wave. You sent us an article from the San Francisco Chronicle written by their senior meteorologist, Greg Porter, and wow, he is not holding back.
He's definitely not mincing words, is he? That's what makes this deep dive so fascinating. This isn't just your run-of-the-mill warm spell.
No, not at all.
Porter's calling it extreme heat, with record-breaking temperatures that, and I quote, refuse to back down.
Refuse to back down. It's like this heat wave has a personal vendetta against fall. But seriously, what's got everyone talking is how different this is from what was initially predicted.
Exactly, and that's where things get really interesting. You see, the article talks about this strong ridge of high pressure that's basically decided to set up camp right on top of us. Now, these ridges, they're like a dome, trapping the warm air and pushing it down, 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 which makes everything even hotter.
Like a giant magnifying glass over the Bay Area.
Exactly. Now, they're not unheard of, but this one is really overstaying its welcome, hanging around much longer than anyone expected.
And because of this stubborn high-pressure system, we're seeing the mercury climb into the 90s, even hitting triple digits in some inland spots.
Just to give our listeners an idea, that's about 25 degrees hotter than what we're used to this time of year. October feeling more like July. Didn't get that memo. Right. It's like the seasons got their signals crossed. And it's not just about the numbers. Porter actually includes a photo in the article, a mother and son trying to escape the heat at Alameda Beach. It really drives home that this heat wave is affecting how people go about their daily lives.
It's impacting everyone, that's for sure. Okay, so let's break it down. What does this heat dome actually mean for someone living in, say, San Francisco? Because you know how it is here. 1 minute you need a jacket, the next you're sweating through your shirt.
Oh, tell me about it. Those microclimates are no joke.
Exactly. So, San Francisco, what's the deal? Porter calls it a tale of two cities, and honestly, that's the perfect description.
It really is.
West of Twin Peaks, you've got that classic San Francisco cool, breezy weather, low 70s. But cross over to downtown, and boom, it's a different story altogether. Upper 80s, maybe even pushing 90.
Now, if you're thinking about heading to the North Bay, be prepared for some serious heat, especially inland. We're talking upper 90s, maybe even hitting 100 degrees in places like Napa, San Rafael, Santa Rosa. Porter even mentions Fairfield and Vacaville might go a little above 100.
And the East Bay. Always keeping things interesting. As usual, the Berkeley Hills are going to be our dividing line.
Think of them as a natural air conditioning barrier.
Right. Closer to the water, Berkeley, Alameda, Richmond, you're looking at a more manageable low to mid-80s. But head inland toward Hayward, Fremont, those temperatures start to climb, upper 80s to mid-90s. And if you find yourself in Concord or Livermore, well, get ready, because you're looking at that 100 to 105 degree range.
You're definitely feeling the heat as you move away from the bay's cooling effect.
Now, for everyone on the peninsula and down in the South Bay, the good news is the Pacific Ocean has your back. Well, at least a little bit.
Yeah, those coastal areas will definitely catch a break with the sea breeze.
The coast will see some pretty pleasant temperatures, 60s and 70s. However, head inland just a bit towards the peninsula. South San Francisco, you're looking at upper 80s. Keep going south, San Mateo, Redwood City, you're hitting those mid to upper 90s. But for those lucky enough to be right on the coast, thank that sea breeze for keeping things comfortable. And speaking of microclimates, the South Bay and Santa Cruz, they're in for a real roller coaster.
Yeah, some of the most drastic temperature differences are expected there. It's pretty incredible.
Hold on to your hats, folks, because the South Bay is going to be a scorcher. Mountain View, Cupertino, San Jose, we're talking upper 90s to a potentially brutal 105 degrees. Even the Santa Cruz Mountains won't escape the heat, with temperatures in the upper 90s. Santa Cruz itself, though, well, once again, that sea breeze swoops in to save the day, keeping things a bit more bearable in the 80s. It's like someone cranked the heat up and broke the dial. But here's the thing. This ridge of high pressure, it's not going anywhere fast.
It's settled in for the long haul. Porter actually says that, yeah, we might see those temperatures dip a little bit on Friday, but this heat wave is stubborn. It's coming back strong over the weekend, mark his words.
He even uses the phrase rebuild its strength, which sounds kind of ominous, like it's
gathering its forces.
Yeah, exactly. Like it's gearing up for round two.
Yeah, like a prize fighter, right. But in all seriousness, it does suggest that this weather pattern has some real stamina. And you know, that's something we should be paying attention to. This isn't just about when to pack your shorts for the weekend. This kind of heat wave, especially its unexpected arrival, the fact that it's sticking around so long, it's got some experts scratching their heads.
Yeah, it's definitely not your typical Bay Area weather story.
Yeah.
This feels bigger somehow, like it has bigger implications.
Absolutely. You know, the Bay Area is known for its microclimates, but this heat wave is a bit of a curveball, even for us. And it really raises some questions about how well our climate models are keeping up with these kinds of unpredictable weather events. If we weren't able to accurately predict this high pressure ridge, if we couldn't see how long it was going to stick around, I mean, what does that tell us about our ability to anticipate similar events down the line?
That's a good point.
Hmm.
It's not just about planning a picnic, right? We rely on these forecasts for agriculture, for resource management, for knowing how to prepare for emergencies.
Exactly. And, when we're caught off guard by these extreme temperature swings, it's more than just an inconvenience. It has real world consequences. People's lives are impacted.
For sure. Okay, so we've talked about what's happening, but I think it's important to talk about what people can actually do about it.
Hmm.
So for our listeners out there, as they're navigating these next few days, maybe even the next few weeks of this heat, what should they keep in mind?
That's the $1 million question, isn't it? And
Yeah.
that's where really understanding those microclimates that we were talking about comes into play. I mean, if you've got any flexibility at all in your schedule, use it to your advantage. Try to run your errands in the morning when it's cooler. If you have to be out and about during the day, think about taking advantage of those cooler areas closer to the coast.
Yeah, exactly. Maybe swap out that hike you were planning on a sunny hillside trail for something a little more shaded, maybe closer to the water or something like that.
Right. It's all about adapting, making those little tweaks to your plans based on the forecast. And of course, listening to those heat advisories and warnings, those aren't just suggestions.
They're there for a reason. And Porter really emphasizes that in the article, extreme heat can be dangerous. It can even be deadly, especially for more vulnerable people, older folks, young kids, people with health conditions. Staying hydrated is key, avoiding strenuous activities during the hottest part of the day, and finding those cool spaces whenever possible.
Libraries, malls, community centers, they can all offer a break from the heat. And, it might seem obvious, but it's worth repeating. Never, ever leave a child or a pet unattended in a parked car, not even for a minute. Those temperatures inside a car can skyrocket in no time.
It's just not worth the risk. And hey, why not check in on your neighbors too, especially those who live alone or might need a helping hand?
Absolutely. We're all in this together, right?
Exactly. We're all in this together. Now, you've been doing a lot of research on heat waves and the science behind them. So I'm curious, was there anything else from Porter's article that really stood out to you?
There was one line that really stuck with me. He wrote, "This isn't just a blip on the radar. It's a reminder that our climate is changing, and we need to be prepared for more extreme events like this in the future." That really resonated with me.
It's a bit of a sobering thought.
It is. We tend to think about climate change as this far-off thing, something that'll impact future generations. But this heat wave right here, right now, in our own backyard, I don't know, it just makes it all feel much more real, much more urgent.
It's a wake-up call, for sure. And it kind of underscores the importance of not just understanding these events from a scientific perspective, but from a human one as well. How do we adapt? How do we prepare? How do we build that resilience when we're facing these increasingly unpredictable weather patterns?
Big questions, lots to unpack there.
It really is a lot to think about,
Yeah.
but I think it all begins with awareness, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, it really does. It's easy to, go about our lives here in the Bay Area with Carl the Fog rolling in and out.
Right, like clockwork.
Exactly. And it's easy to think we're somehow immune to all of these bigger changes that are happening with the climate.
Yeah, we get lulled into a false sense of security sometimes. Totally. But this heat wave, it's kind of a stark reminder, isn't it? It's a reminder that those changes are happening. They're happening now, and they're having a real impact on our lives, even here, in a place known for its mild weather.
It's definitely a wake-up call.
So as we wrap up our deep dive on this very unusual October heat wave, is there one key thing you want our listeners to take away from all of this?
Stay informed, stay prepared, and most importantly, take care of yourselves, take care of each other.
Couldn't have said it better myself. And on that note, I think I hear a certain pint of ice cream calling my name. Stay cool out there, everyone.